The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Well, I'm not your host, but thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. It's about achievements. We'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show as well as previous shows on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 79. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. So, I mentioned I'm not your host. I actually have this weekend off. So, I have Proulx, Randy, and our favorite, well, one of our favorite returning guests, Smrnov, joins the show. I'm sure they're going to be talking about plenty of E3 things, although I would imagine it's going to be relatively depressing with Randy. Proulx loves everything, and I don't think Smrnov has played any games from 2017, and I think he's just getting started on this 2016 game. So, I guess we'll have to find out. So, take it away, guys.
Hey, thanks, Freem. We've got a lot to cover this week. Obviously, just having gone through E3, so I'm just going to introduce my two co-hosts here, and then we'll get into it. Randy, I was actually looking up something interesting that I thought you would really like. I found out that, on average, this past week of every year is actually the rainiest week of the entire year. Do you believe that?
Well, it is E3. Now, are you serious or are you joking?
No,
that would be hilarious if it actually was. Okay,
yeah.
That's what I thought. Yes, it's very rainy, and I've got some rain. I've got some rain this year. Now, to have a little ray of sunshine in the week of depressing rain, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. So we've got a couple nice things to say, but mostly terrible things to say. So we'll get into that when it's time.
And joining us this week is Smrnov. How did you overall quick impressions of E3? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you got?
Thumbs up for some, thumbs up, down for other, and pretty much kind of a more or less what everybody expected around the board.
Yeah, really. No big surprises, huh?
No.
I can't think of any.
Did we see Wolfenstein coming?
I mean, I didn't see it coming, but it's not like a huge surprise. It's not like somebody dropped a bomb, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was a sequel. Well, actually, Anthem, I guess, was a pleasant surprise. Get into that then.
We will get into that. Okay, so Freem and I recorded the show last Sunday night, and obviously that was the big Microsoft conference. Now, I don't want to retread everything, but since we have two new people here, and because me and Freem didn't really have a whole lot of time to digest that information, let's go over it pretty quickly. So what do you guys want to talk about? What did you think? Obviously, the Scorpio stuff. There's a lot of new games that we didn't know about before. Microsoft. How do we feel?
Well, I've got a few notes here. Now, like you said, I'm just gonna rain on Microsoft. Kind of rain, kind of joke. So there's a whole. I'm gonna comment on some things in each segment that we cover, and then at the end I'm gonna bring it all together with my overall rainy comments. So for Microsoft, to start out, we've got another card game, the Fable card game, that is just like, I don't know why everyone's trying to do. I mean, I know why, but it just seems pointless. It's like Hearthstone is huge, and it's like I don't know why you bother competing, especially with Fable that is totally dead. Like this is just like you're grabbing at nothing.
But I thought competing with Blizzard was a good strategy.
Yeah. It is sometimes.
Not often.
No, not very often.
It's really not often.
Although they are trendsetters. I mean, Randy, we talked earlier, and you'll talk about it again, I'm sure, about the whole card game thing. But it's the same thing with oh my goodness, I'm going to get the game Overwatch, right? That's the good one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same thing with Overwatch. Once that came out, now we're getting all sorts of mascot based games like that.
I mean, yeah, I guess they're trendsetters with that. Most of the time, it's usually pretty original. But I mean, Overwatch really is just Team Fortress 3, in my opinion. But we'll get to that. So
it's not surprising that there are companies that are trying to take over that space.
Especially Microsoft, who really tends to be kind of lagging behind a lot of stuff like that, where they just copycat and usually make an inferior version of whatever it is and don't take any risks, which kind of was the problem that we still see, where there's nothing. All of the Microsoft exclusive properties are old and tired, and nothing really new is coming out, which still seems to kind of be the case. I mean, there's a little bit of new stuff, but it's not first party, so we'll see. No VR mentioned. Yeah. I don't really care about VR, but I think that's kind of significant.
I think it could have been a console seller for people who didn't want to buy a new TV. That's
totally.
Take on that one.
Especially because there's so little kind of selling points for Scorpio. It's like, okay, well, there's some games with better graphics, and it's faster, but really, unless you're into like the top of the line, top games with top equipment to display it on, there's not really much benefit for people that have especially for people that have an S that has the HD Blu, or like not HD, obviously HD Blu-ray, but UHD Blu-ray, and kind of better performance, and the smaller. Really, the big thing for me is on those boxes that they're not gigantic. The S's are very nice. But I mean, I guess if you don't have an S and you want to upgrade anyway, Scorpio might be nice, because it is smaller than the S by almost none, but still.
Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
It's not called Scorpio.
Right, I almost forgot. The Xbox One X. What a name.
It's fine.
It's
fine.
Not
it's
fine. The Xbox One is a bad name. The Xbox One X is a terrible name. So we'll leave it at that.
I guess they're completely giving up on Japan, too, because wasn't the whole issue with the Xbox's X is like the symbol for no, and now they're like putting it at the beginning and the no box in Japan.
Oh, that's actually pretty funny. I like that.
That would be funny.
I mean, it's basically the no box in Japan already anyways.
I know, they're pretty much owning it now. So
yeah. Well, see, now maybe people are going to start buying it ironically, because it's the no box that nobody wants anyway. So now, like, the hipsters in Japan are going to start buying Xboxes. I don't think so. I think part of it too is like Sony's so dug in Japan, like with brand loyalty too. It's just like, I don't know. It seems kind of hopeless. It's not just Sony, but Nintendo too, right? Yeah,
they're two big Japanese powerhouses that you're competing with, not one.
Yeah.
So
well, and especially because Nintendo, I feel like Nintendo doesn't really directly compete anymore. It's kind of a supplement.
We will talk about that. We will get to the
see.
Nintendo stuff later, because they had a killer showing. But we'll get into that. What else? Is there anything else about?
I've got one more point before I pass my Microsoft opinions on to the next person. The next one is what I'm going to call unintelligible screaming. And we really want to be esports, guys. We really want to be esports. I don't even remember what this game was called. The game actually didn't look bad, but it was the way it was presented was just so terrible. It's like you have this guy come out who's like the esports commentator, and then all this stuff like esports. So like you're getting ahead of yourself. You shouldn't be presenting a game as an esport. You should be presenting a game as a competitive game, and then it becomes an esport naturally because people like it, because it's competitive. And it's just like, again, it's just the copycat. Like, this is Microsoft's Overwatch, or I guess maybe, is it Microsoft only? Maybe it was first party. I
actually don't remember who.
I don't remember.
I think it was exclusive. I don't know that it was first party.
Okay. But
yeah, it was kind of a silly thing to do. It was really awkward and forced and uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have somebody like literally going out there trying to pump people up, like a regular sports game. Like, it's like if you went to a sports game, like I don't know anything about cricket. If I went to a cricket game and people were yelling and screaming, like I would have no idea what's going on. There's no context for me to get excited. So it just seemed really weird. And I think somebody thought it was a really, really cool idea and like a unique way to present on stage, and it just comes across as forced.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's the end of my notes for Microsoft. Other than, obviously I've got opinion. Well, original backwards compatibility is cool, super cool. And I want a system link all the generations at some point just to do it. But I'm really hoping that they're going to set something up that allows you to emulate system linking over Xbox Live, because that would be absolutely amazing. And I don't know how viable that is in terms of like the way networking works and the emulator works, but it would be super cool if that was something that could be done.
It also should be noted that it appears that it's been confirmed that there will not be achievements.
Correct. Which is super disappointing because on PS4, they have achievements in their PS2 games that seem to be, from what I've read and how I understand they work, basically backwards compatibility for PS4 that you have to pay for. So
are they actually backwards compatible, or do they re-release them somehow?
They re-release them, but it says it's done in an emulator. So like they have, I guess, like better graphics, but I think that's just because they like unlimit everything or whatever. So it's like how BioShock runs better on backwards compatibility because it's got, everything's smoother. You can take the frame rate limiter off, make it look a little smoother and nice. And that's what it sounds like they do. Now, if they actually rebuild them, then that's different, obviously. But it's just kind of disappointing because it shows that it can be done. And it would be nice if they would do it.
I'm not surprised they didn't do it. When everybody was asking that question, my thought was, no, they're not going to have achievements simply because they weren't there, and somebody has to come up with the list and for every game. And it's just that's not what they did. Even on the 360, it's not like they suddenly improved the achievements or added them to achievement tracking or anything like that, right? They gave you what was there in the original system.
It's true. It's true. It's just become such a part of the ecosystem.
You're not going to get a lot of achievement hunters playing OG games at this point, just because it's not.
There's no achievements.
There's no achievements.
I would love
to. The only reason I was hoping is because I know Phil Spencer has mentioned it's like, oh well, that's a cool idea, but how will we do achievements? Like kind of that it was a thought at some point. And then looking at PS4, the way they do PS2, that is at least to some extent emulated, thinking, oh, well, maybe they went in. Maybe it's really easy to just, tack this on top somehow. Yeah. And obviously, they didn't have trophies back then, so they're all new lists. But yeah, it's too bad. Maybe they'll come in the future, but either way, it's super cool. I'm glad they're doing it.
Yep. Either way, I'll still probably go back and play a few games, but just not as much as I would have if there was achievements, obviously. Anything else you wanted to mention, Smrnov? I know you mentioned the VR thing, but is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think I still have other questions about the new system. Like they haven't shown whether it's vertically mountable or not, because even though it's smaller, I really don't want to have to put it on my desk. I'd like to have it on its side on a mount somewhere. So I don't think anybody's confirmed or chimed in on that anywhere yet. Maybe I missed it if so, but that's one big question I was left with. As far as the graphics go, I'm a little different than you on that, Rainey. I actually like having the higher end graphics because it actually beats up my aging PC at this point, right? So for me to be able to play the games that I liked to play on PC because they were in 4K, now I get to do it on my with my controller and with my achievements tracking the way I like to track them and everything. It's a plus for me. I'm happy with the new system and that they announced it, and but that was also nothing new. They'd already said what it was going to be able to do. All that's new really was the form factor and the name, right? So
yeah, I guess I should clarify too, as I don't think it's bad that they're releasing it. I think they did a great job on it, much better than the PS4 Pro. And like the price point is super fair for what it is. It's premium, but it's totally fair.
You're getting double graphics for double price, right? That's a pretty fair deal.
Yeah, and it's going to be smoother. It's going to be but that is a good point about the vertical though, because that's a huge plus for me with the Slim is it fits on my bookshelf with, a million other Xboxes on my bookshelf because I can stand it up. So, yeah, that's a really good point because I didn't even consider that.
Well, if you look at the way it's shaped too, it kind of has that overhang, right? So I'm wondering if it's just not going to work that way.
But the PS2 did as well.
Yeah.
And it was still vertical, so
Yeah, that's true.
I guess
it
if
looks
you're
a
not,
lot like the PS2.
if you're not playing disc games, it's probably fine, I would imagine, right? Although,
Yeah, that's true.
Will the verticality affect the awesome vapor cooling that they have?
Well,
as well?
that's just it, right? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
because of how the heat is being handled, is that maybe why they're not really coming out or showing it mounted that way, simply because it would...
That's a
cause
good
issues.
question.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well,
Now,
okay.
Okay, I need to before we move on again. I need to get your opinion on my pessimism with the vapor cooling, little rain cloud in every Xbox. As someone, I forget who said that in chat, but that was a good one. And then I responded, yes, a rain cloud that's eventually going to escape and kill your Xbox one day. What do you guys think?
I don't know enough about technology. My understanding is it's sealed. So, I mean, short of something breaking, I don't think that can happen. And if something breaks, you probably have other problems because
Yeah.
I'm
just thinking the nature of sealed things with water, and then the water always likes to escape.
I'm
eventually.
thinking that Microsoft learned a very, very important, very expensive cooling lesson not too long ago. I don't think they would do this if they weren't confident in it.
Well, no, I think it's going to be fine, for 5 years at least. But I'm thinking down the line, when you want to play your Scorpio. I'm going to keep calling it Scorpio, by the way. When you play your Scorpio, a couple of generations from now, when you bust out your PS2 and, either the heatsink no longer works because all the water's escaped and it's no longer water cooling, or, it's leaked out and gotten your components wet. I don't know. I just think
I think with their commitment to backwards compatibility, you're going to be playing that on whatever console you're using at the time. But,
that's true.
As a boost console, it might be an issue for you.
That's true. That's a really good way to look at it, because if they do stay committed to backwards compatibility, it won't be an issue.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
That puts me at ease a little more. So that's good.
So, all right. So that was Microsoft again. We talked a bit more about it last week, and if you haven't listened to that show, go ahead. Let's move on. Do you guys have any preference how we do this? Do you want to break it down by publisher or by conference, or do you want to just kind of freeform it?
Do we want to go in order that the conferences happened? Maybe
we can do that.
Yeah. So next up is Bethesda.
I thought Ubi,
because it was.
Oh no, Bethesda was the same night. You're right. Yeah, it was just. Yeah. I didn't see it. Yeah, you're right.
So Bethesda, not great. Not
it was so
great,
bad.
Bethesda. Just too bad, because I love Bethesda, but I think we can all agree the next oh my goodness, Wolfenstein game looks great.
Oh yeah,
that was a great.
Stoked on that,
and the gameplay looked pretty solid. I mean, those have been solid gameplay games too for a while now, right?
Yeah. The story, the atmosphere, the gameplay. Wolfenstein: The New Order was it's the best game, the best AAA game I've played in quite a while. I don't think there was anything about that game that I was disappointed with.
And the achievements weren't horrible. I mean, there was a little grindy type stuff, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, I went back and did it a second time, which actually I was super impressed with that game on the 360 too, because it looked as good as it did on the one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 4 discs and it was a huge pain.
But that's annoying, yeah.
But I was super impressed with what they were able to do with the 360
it's a reminder of what a
hardware.
good engine company makes a good game, right?
Yeah.
It's always harkens back to the olden days.
So think about this, right? It's everything we loved about Wolfenstein: The New Order / The Old Blood, but it takes place in America, so it can only get better, right? I assume.
Yeah, I kind of love the dystopian America setting.
Yeah, it was really cool,
it's
right?
So unlike the current settings.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very different.
I won't go down.
No,
roads there.
That's okay.
Yeah, to see the Nazi in the diner, it's definitely nothing like we'd ever see in America. So yeah, it was cool. I liked the trailer, very exciting, and definitely picked that game up.
And they showed gameplay.
Yeah,
they showed it was a good trailer because it showed story bits and gameplay bits, and really emphasized it.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it emphasized that this is the Wolfenstein you've played with some new stuff, and it continues the story, which is really everything that I wanted from a proper sequel. So I think that is probably the only game that I saw at E3 that I can say pretty much for sure I'll be getting at release.
I actually did pre-order it. There was a GameStop had a deal on right now for trades to bump it up for pre-order, and I pre-ordered.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's a good choice. That's an okay time to pre-order if there's a deal and you can lock it in.
Oh yeah. Well, I still have a copy of what's some of the older games that came out back when they were with Future Shop, which doesn't even exist anymore, and they moved over to Best Buy.
Yeah.
And I got like $39 pre-orders from Crackdown 3. I've got for $39.
Oh yeah, Crackdown 3. Okay, so that was, I think we could mostly agree, probably the only worthy thing in the Bethesda presentation
Bethesda
worth
conference
noting.
would have been better if they only showed that.
Well, I guess it depends. It depends on how you feel. But there was a bunch of stuff about them allowing paid mods now, which is a big deal for people, for PC people mostly, obviously. But it was kind of a controversial decision. Do you guys have any opinions one way or the other on this, or probably something we don't really need to talk about too much?
I mean, like, I'll give my opinion that I think it's kind of a bad trendsetter because it's just adding more to the, here's your $60 game, which is now like a third of a game, and you have to spend more money on mods or microtransactions or DLC or whatever, and it's just gonna, especially because like the mods are they're pretty much like third-party DLC by the sounds of things. It seems like, they're only like top mods that Bethesda selects or makes themselves, which just sounds like DLC that they don't have to pay for the production of, and they just take a cut of everything. And I mean, maybe it'll encourage, high quality content coming out because people could potentially do it for a living. But I think the reality is it's just going to be you paying for something that you originally didn't have to pay for, and they're just going to take a cut of it. So
maybe I'm wrong, but didn't they try this on Steam already with their games, and then the community backlash was so bad that they pulled it almost immediately? Maybe it was something else I'm thinking.
No, I think something like that did happen. Yeah,
they might have even done it a couple of times. They've been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But the other thing is, from an achievement hunter perspective, I don't think it affects me one way or the other because generally speaking, once you have a mod on, the achievements are null and void. So,
they did make a comment about the achievements though, which was interesting. Okay. Because these are all like pre-approved mods or whatever, basically DLC, they don't disable achievements.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I'm less concerned whether. Well, I guess I'm not less concerned because if they disabled achievements, the conversation would be moot. But I'm more interested in if these paid mods are sanctioned, will they add additional achievements or even contribute to achievements? Like, so say you pay for this mod for $5, it gives you a whole bunch of new quests, and I need to get 50 quests done in Skyrim for an achievement. Is there integration where that still counts for that achievement?
Yeah,
or not.
They did comment on that. The same thing. It's integrated with your main save. So assuming that it, ticks up the same counter, it should count for your achievements.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like basically they're treating it as DLC.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's a mailman mod, and you basically just have to walk from person to person to tick up your counters and get your achievements done. It's actually could be an achievement time saver.
I wonder if they wouldn't see through that and not allow it. I don't know how strict how much they care about the achievement side of it. But if like somebody was like, okay, I'll just release a paid mod for $1 where you can go
become
kill
the leader of the Black Hand.
Exactly. You just walk up to it and you do it. Will Bethesda be super like controlling on that sort of thing? Be like, no, obviously this isn't worth the money or whatever. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Otherwise, you could get Skyrim Legendary Edition done in 5 minutes, maybe. Somebody will make one mod that...
Thomas
kind of
the
like
Tank Engine Legendary Dragon, right?
Actually, that would be awesome. Or the Randy Savage Legendary Dragon as well. Yeah. Somebody could... Kind of like the achievement world in Minecraft, where you could just create a world in which you just walk around and get all those achievements. It'll be interesting to see if that's the case or not.
Well, if they can make money from it, they probably will.
Yeah. See, now this could be a new venture for Shovelware Empire. There we go.
There you go.
So I don't know. The way they talk about it, it sounds like that kind of stuff wouldn't be in that list because they're like, oh, well, we're working, all the developers are going to work with us personally and closely to, have the highest quality content. So it sounds like they're going to be like expansion packs, basically. Yeah. Like, not just a little thing like, there's a new townsperson or whatever. So, but we'll see. I mean, they can say that. It's probably not true because Lie Engine can't get through this without mentioning the Lie Engine. Yeah, that's so. I
guess we'll see. It'll be interesting either way. I don't know. I kind of like keeping it separate, but on the other hand, I mean, a lot of people put a lot of work into these mods, and I'm just thinking specifically of like the Skyrim mods, like Sky Oblivion, or where they're kind of like essentially recreating a whole nother world. I'm very interested in that experience, and if it was ever possible that I could get achievements for it, I would love to. On the other hand, you would have to kind of be very careful about what you allow. Otherwise, it's kind of just going to run rampant, and so we'll see. I guess we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
So moving on, after Bethesda, which was very late.
I've still got a couple comments on Bethesda.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So we have Quake Legends.
Oh yeah.
The esports. I think they said esports like 15 times in 2 minutes when they were talking about that. I don't know, like that whole presentation again was just, it wasn't as bad as unintelligible screaming, but it was really trying very hard. Like, you have the people talk, or I don't know if it was people or if it was just like the taglines of the characters in the game that are just like why? Like, it's just not Quake. That's the thing. Like, if it wasn't Quake, it wouldn't be as bad, but it didn't look like, I mean, it looks like Quake, but it just didn't feel like Quake should have that stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old and I shake my cane at new things, taking old things. But that was another, to me, super trying too hard to be an esport, and also being like, oh yeah, Quake was the first esport, so now we're new esport because we're already an esport, but not really because this is not the same game. And then, of course, big announcement: Elder Scrolls card game. I mean, this is totally revolutionary, totally new. So yeah, we'll just Elder Scrolls card game, fantastic. So anyway, what was the next conference that we're moving on to?
That's because the card games are now becoming MMOs, right? With the Magic MMO.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Man, this is the last game we're announcing. It's closing. This is the last Magic card game. We're just going to update it. No, we're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what was Monday? Was it Sony? Did Sony do Monday? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't remember.
I don't have.
I mean, we can just move on to Sony, I guess.
We could just move on to Sony. That makes sense. Yeah. So,
I think I watched. I think it was Ubisoft before Sony, actually.
All right. Well, then let's do Ubisoft.
Yeah, it was.
Let's do Ubisoft. So we had seen Assassin's Creed, Batman Begins, or whatever it's called, Assassin's Creed Origins. That's right. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Begins.
Yes.
So you mean Tom Clancy's Assassin's Creed 5: The Division Wildlands? This game.
Gadget drone.
Yeah, I know, the drone. I'm telling you, I called that months ago. I don't know if I said it on the podcast or who I said it to, but I said to somebody that they're going to make a drone in Assassin's Creed. And I was going crazy when I saw that in the Microsoft conference. That the first thing they show, because every year they show a different game with a drone at E3. And there it was.
It's not a drone, and you know how I know? Drones don't poop, so it definitely can't be a drone.
It is
obviously
the drone
it's a bird.
Reskinned as an eagle.
Yes, it is. Okay,
it's the drone.
It is.
It's exactly the same drone.
It doesn't really even make any sense. I will say it kind of looks cool. I guess I've never played a game with a drone. Well, not never, but not like an Assassin's Creed game.
Tagging targets in Assassin's Creed is a cool concept. I mean, what it's doing for you is neat, and I understand integrating it into the world as it exists. But it's still a drone.
Yeah, but it is still a drone, and it kind of doesn't make any sense unless I've missed something, because I haven't played the most recent Assassin's Creed. But I don't really understand how there would be like some sort of mental connection between you and the bird. I just don't understand how that logistically works. But
because ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how. Right. It's magic. It's magic now. But this game, seriously, like, this does not even look like it. Like, Ubisoft is recycling the same game for every one of their games. Like, this looks like The Division. Like, it has the levels next to people just like The Division. It's got all the gear just like The Division. It has the drone, which was cut from The Division but was planned. So it still counts.
And I'm surprised they didn't show an Eagle app where you could control it from a smartphone or tablet.
Yeah, well, see, they know they couldn't figure that one out. See, that was their problem with The Division. They had to cut it. Yeah. They had a whole trailer on controlling the drone with your tablet, and then it was nowhere to be seen. And then Far Cry 5 looks exactly the same. It's like you've got... I mean, Far Cry 5 looks more like Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is very similar to The Division, or looks very similar to The Division. So it's like all of these games are just reskinning the same game with the same drone. And it just seems very lazy to me.
I'm excited about Far Cry 5 for the setting. I don't necessarily need it to be anything crazy new. It's one of those things like, I mean, I guess like, well, and Assassin's Creed that trailer got me more excited for Assassin's Creed than I've been in a while. I've been off the boat literally since Black Flag, so I haven't played any of the ones in between. But I'm like, oh, you know what? I like the setting enough, and it's unique enough that hey, I might give it a shot.
Just buy it on sale. Don't give them full price.
I probably. Or you know what? Honestly, if you wait 6 months, it'll probably go Games with Gold. But
6 weeks, it'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's the crazy thing now too. Is like you see games going on like half price like a month after they're out, which is crazy. So yeah, the recycled drone. The Crew. Now on the topic of recycling, the Crew 2. I'm wondering if they recycled that San Francisco setting from Watch Dogs. Because there's San Francisco in that game.
Wait, you mean Watch Dogs
2 was set in San Francisco.
I didn't know it took place in San Francisco.
Yeah,
okay.
San Francisco, and the Crew 2 has a bunch of San Francisco landmarks in at least one of the areas, so I'm thinking they probably recycled that. Because Ubisoft loves to recycle things.
They're environmentally friendly.
It is, yeah. I can definitely see a lot of elements in... I guess it's just corporate synergy, man. You just don't get it. No, it's yeah. I mean, I can see what you're saying. I obviously don't think the games are being recycled or anything, but there are elements that obviously they've worked on in one studio, maybe moved to another one. It doesn't really bother me if those games stand on their own and do their own thing, but happen to be set in the same place or have a drone / magical falcon element. That's fine. Whatever, I guess.
Well, I'm okay with just the ship battles and Assassin's Creed Black Flag being its own game too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Was that the Windows 8 version?
Yeah, well, this is a little more... Yeah. Oh. No, that wasn't quite the battles weren't quite the same. They were a little dumbed down, right?
I haven't played that one yet. I also haven't played Assassin's Creed 4, so...
Oh, well, the naval battles were definitely something that got added to that game that I really liked.
Yeah, I heard that one was really good.
It is.
Yeah. But anyway, on the topic of recycling and naval battles, did you see Ubisoft Sea of Thieves?
It was theirs first. Like I said, it was in Black Flag before it was a Sea of Thieves game.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a blatant response, which is actually funny because this is a case where Microsoft is not following; they're doing their own thing, and then Ubisoft comes along and makes exactly the same game.
It'll be interesting to see and compare the final products together.
Yeah,
I'm more excited about Sea of Thieves for a myriad of reasons. Probably mostly just because, Microsoft, and Rare. But and actually, the presentation was really good. I thought for Sea of Thieves,
it had the humor and the charm for sure. I mean, you would hope for seeing a Rare game. But
and it kind of solidified that Sea of Thieves is for me. Is going to be like the real deal. It's not just going to be something that they kind of did as, okay, whatever, we'll throw a little bit of money at it and see how it does. But it looks like it looks super polished and is kind of a lot different than I was expecting it to be in a good way. So I think it looks really cool. It's probably not going to be for me, just being quite honest, but it looks really solid.
I see myself spending a lot of time playing either.
Yeah.
But I'm not into that kind of game. It has nothing to do with what they're presenting. It's just that game in general.
Exactly. That's the same as me. It's just, I don't often have 4 people that I can play with all the time, and I'm not just going to jump in with randoms in a game like that because it's obviously going to go horribly wrong. But it looks really good. And the Ubisoft one just really seems like kind of a rip-off of Sea of Thieves, but we'll see. And then, I mentioned Tom Clancy's Far Cry 5, The Division, Wildlands, Origins. And then, big announcement, the South Park card game.
You're kind of missing an important one, though. Somebody other than Nintendo is making a Mario game.
Oh, that's right.
That's true.
I actually thought that looked pretty good.
No, me too. See, that's why I wasn't talking about it, because these are my rainy notes.
I got you. Okay.
But yeah, no, it looks really good. It does. And I was really skeptical at first. I was like, I don't know, but no, it looks super good, and especially for this. Like, it looks great graphically for the Switch too.
Yeah, it's too. And that kind of combat style I like. It looks, as far as navigation, a lot like Mario 64 running around, so all that looked pretty cool to me. But anyway.
The thing for me is, they had Miyamoto on stage, and Nintendo is not going to let anyone ruin. I don't want to say anyone. I should be very specific. I fully trust Miyamoto for anything that he's involved in, and he is such a perfectionist that he's going to make sure that the game will be fun. At the very least, it's going to be a fun game. It may not be the most mind-blowing or amazing game, but and Nintendo is not going to let Ubisoft. I just think it's going to be good. And it was really exciting to see something new and something fun and something fresh, and Mario to be there. So, of course, I'm on board.
It was a good opener. They opened with their strongest offering for sure.
Now, so
it was weird that it took place in San Francisco, though, wasn't it? Right?
No, that was Odyssey, wasn't it?
No. That's true. That's true, actually.
I get it.
So now I will say, I think I mentioned on the podcast a few times that I'm convinced that Ubisoft is going to get a triple F minus from me on their report card grade. And I am pleased to say that they did not, because I've always, not always, but like since I've been really rainy about E3 and have watched it for the podcast, because I stopped watching it for a long time until we started talking about it every year, and then I watched it and reminded myself why I stopped watching it. Because everyone just sounds like they're reading off a teleprompter, like robot from PR, and it's boring. It's super boring. And this is super apparent in EA and in Microsoft's conferences in particular. Microsoft was a lot better this year, but they also did a lot less speaking, at least from what I remember. But Eve is such a good presenter that I can't even, I didn't like any of the content except for Mario game. But he was so good at presenting, and all the people that he picked to be up there were so good at presenting. I couldn't help but enjoy it. And even though I know, it's not that you're not really, when you're Ubisoft and you just money to death every one of your games and turn it into something that's just a money farm, that I don't think that you can be as passionate as you say you are about making great games. But man, it was a great presentation, and I gotta give him credit for that, even though I really like to rain on Ubisoft, because I think they're kind of one of the worst right now for the things I hate in the games industry. So
instead of a triple F, you give them
I give them a
A++.
C minus.
Oh, well, that's quite a bit of improvement.
Pretty good.
And sorry, just to touch on it briefly, the other thing I was actually marginally interested in the Toy to Life game.
I don't
remember that.
Starlink.
I don't know if
Starlink. It's it sits on your controller, and actually, as you remove parts from the ship on your controller, it changes a game. So it's not just, it's what I was hoping Lego would be when it first came out. If you rebuilt the Lego or did something different, it would actually change the in-game appearance versus just, here's the instructions on how to make it look like what we've given you in game.
Huh.
They actually had something that did that.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Did they not show that during the main conference?
Yeah, no, they showed it. There was a thing. It was, and it's out of Ubi Toronto, right? So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Starlink Battle for Atlas is a new action-adventure game where you assemble a custom starship model mounted to your game controller. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and it's cross-platform as well. They started it with a Switch controller. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's like using the Amiibo technology or something. But no, then they showed it on an Xbox and PS4 controller too. So
what does it use? I mean, is there NFC in the...
They must have NFC on each piece, right, to be able to figure that out. But that's what I thought was pretty cool, because you could actually take new rockets and put them on your ship, and all of a sudden they're in game. Like it's not the whole platform where you're just putting one figure in and you could just take the base and that's all that matters.
Yep.
It actually had some cool concepts too.
How interesting. I didn't see it either, but that is something I'm very interested in. That's really cool.
Well, and the toy life market's kind of dead right now, right? I mean, there was no Skylanders this year. There's no more Disney Infinity, so kind of it's a good time to step in, I think.
Why didn't we hear anything about Dimensions Season 3? I'm
probably because people are tired of spending $300 a year on Lego Dimensions.
Expensive, yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, now that they're the only game in town, I'm just surprised that we're,
Well, they're milking it because they're the only game in town too now. I mean, they're charging a lot for some of those add-on packs.
It's ridiculous.
Although we have seen, and we will talk about this again later on, Amiibos still going strong. They're still releasing them. So, but we'll get into that later.
I don't get Amiibos. Okay. I really don't get it.
I have one.
Having one, but like I just don't get it. Well, I'll rain on Amiibos when we get to Amiibos, but we totally forgot EA, which says how insignificant EA is. It was exactly the same as last year.
I hate when they do the story-based Need for Speeds. Just gonna throw that out there. Every one of them, it's like,
was terrible. Man, it was like you got sports
ball.
Did
we get anything good?
We got Frostbite in sports ball, whatever. So it's the same as last year, where instead this year it's Madden instead of FIFA because it's got Frostbite and it makes the graphics good.
I saw there was somebody was questioning whether or not we would get another NBA the Prelude situation going on with this. I mean, this was just speculation, of course, but that would be awesome.
Yeah,
maybe they released.
I could go for that.
Yeah. Easy 1,000, real quick. That'd be nice
for a freebie.
And obviously, we're not a huge sports games fans, so a good chunk of that presentation was completely glazed over. Like, whatever. Okay, that's nice.
And I guess my biggest thing is like last year, this was something different where you're kind of having the story mode and the career mode. But you did exactly the same presentation this year. It's like, okay, there's, you take your character from, your beginnings to the sports league, and then, we've got Frostbite, so the graphics are good, which is exactly what happened last year with FIFA. It's like, just say I don't know. It didn't seem worthy of having that much time.
I don't think they had anything else to spend the time on, though, right?
That's true. They didn't.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Was there anything exciting or interesting to you guys?
Well, they didn't show Anthem there, right? They said, we have this thing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in the Microsoft.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Anthem, because I was sad. I was very sad. This is the team that made... oh, goodness, help me out here. That made Mass Effect, right? Yes. This is the team. Okay, so this is
They basically spent time on Anthem instead of cleaning up Mass Effect.
Yes. It's so upsetting to me because this is the exact same situation that happened with Destiny. One of my favorite developers went and is going to make one of these types of games that I just can't stand. So like in Halo 4, we got Halo 4 instead of a Bungie Halo 4, and I was sad and it hurt and I cried. And now the people that made Mass Effect are going to, instead of making a new Mass Effect and making Andromeda good, they're going to go and make another game that's just like, I feel like Destiny, and I'm not interested in it. I don't care.
It's another microtransaction world where it's another The Division, it's another Destiny, it's another thing where it's like the sort of MMO game that you can keep charging money for over and over and over again and make $1 zillion, but not really have that great of a game. I guess some people really like games. Destiny though, but I think The Division was kind of a flop overall, but
I don't. Destiny was one of the biggest disappointments for me in the past 5 years. I don't like that game, and I for the same reasons I suspect I wouldn't like this game. Now, of course, I could be wrong, and it could be amazing and awesome, and I'll play it if that's the case. I was just like, oh man, we have this game out already. What, I don't know. To me, it was disappointing.
Yeah. It just kind of goes along with, I mean, it's kind of like the Ubisoft thing too. It's just like copycatting everyone. Like, it's just, okay, there's another one of these games. And as soon as I realized that that's what it was, I just stopped paying attention to that whole part of the presentation, because I knew it's like, okay, this game again. It looks pretty.
It looks really
cool.
good. It's just
Whatever.
Iron Man Destiny.
There was no loading screen either, right? Like all those Destinies, Warframes, all those types of spatial dungeon crawling MMOs. There's that loading screen where you have to sit in the ship for a while because we're getting the level ready for you. This one, they jumped right out and ran. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, technically, it was super impressive.
Yeah, but
so we'll see what comes of that.
I won't be.
But
playing
like you said, they showed that on the Xbox stage, right?
Yeah.
Not on EA's conference. So
well, they mentioned it. There was a brief teaser, and that was about it.
And
which
then
EA must have been before Microsoft.
Yeah, it was. They were the first one, I think.
Yeah.
And then now, following the trend of last year, then you have to have your obligatory indie game, which actually looked pretty cool. It's done by the Brothers people, where you escape the prison.
Oh, yeah.
And it is split screen. So I almost had a fit when they said it was split screen only, because I'm thinking nobody's going to be able to play this game.
Yeah.
But then they confirmed it is online split screen. So you always see the other person's screen. It's obviously meant to be played on a couch, but if you don't have that option, they put it in so you can play online. So that was great. I will definitely be playing that game because it looks super cool. Maybe not day one, but at some point. And then they talked about
one thing
Battlefield.
Star Wars.
I was just going to mention Battlefront because I skipped the first one, and I've gotten so close to picking it up time and time again when it's gone on sale, because it's constantly on sale. Man, it was pretty, and as a Star Wars fan, really compelling. I know that there was not much meat on the bones for that game, but it looks like they've taken the time now, put the story mode in, kind of padded it out a little bit better. So I think I'll probably be picking up Battlefront 2. It looks really good.
Yeah, story mode is more of a selling feature to me. That's definitely one of the reasons I shied away from the current version. Is that there's just no.
And it's cool for a game like that. I mean, featured heavily in the trailer was prequel stuff, and it was so weird. It's cool because this game can kind of bridge the gap between all of Star Wars, and so I'm excited for it. I think it looks pretty good, and I'm hoping that they kind of learned the lesson from Battlefront 1 and they put enough stuff into the game so that it'll be a good time. That was kind of the only thing that really excited me about EA. So
that's true. They did show a lot of gameplay for that, which was good.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just like a stupid cinematic trailer and here's Battlefront 2. You're all going to buy it because it says Star Wars on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It sounds like, I mean, I don't know because I'm not really into Star Wars. I didn't play Battlefront 1. I didn't even really like Battlefront 2 on the original Xbox. It just wasn't the game I was super into. But from all reports of people that were into that stuff, it seems like they are going in the right direction, which is always good.
So should we move on to Sony?
They didn't announce a card game, though.
Which is,
they've got Ultimate Team in all their games. So really
that's true.
Card games.
Oh, yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And man, are they even more expensive?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, let's be honest, guys. I know this is an Xbox podcast, and so we'll try to avoid bias here.
Man.
Sony announced Kratos with a beard. So, I mean, that was their drop the mic moment and get off the stage because they won E3.
What they've already shown. Because they showed that last year. It's just hunting in the woods with the kid instead of fighting, Yeah.
Sony didn't do great.
I think hands down theirs was by quite a bit the worst presentation that I watched.
You know what it reminds me of? When Microsoft was in the we're winning things and we don't need to do much during these E3 presentations with days. Because there was those days when Microsoft was winning the console war, and that's exactly what they handed to people. It was like, here's what we're going to do. And it's more of what you wanted and you're already doing. So.
And it was just like, they basically just showed trailers for 90 minutes. Like there was no substance to any of it. Like there was
but none of them were wow you trailers either. It's like, here's some stuff we showed you before. Here's some stuff that's iterative. Here's some,
here's like 30
we're not even
minutes
talking
of
about
VR
Death Stranding anymore.
That nobody cares about. Like, yeah.
Well, and this is exactly why the competition is important, because like you say, Microsoft, when they were on top, they acted like it didn't matter what people wanted, and now that the situation's reversed, Sony can't give a damn. So let's talk about this specifically, because before we go on, I do want to mention this. This is something that we wanted to, and there's kind of unfolding. This keeps going on. It was announced that Minecraft is going to be doing a kind of a cross-platform version. Any version you play, you can play with your friends. It's across the Xbox and the Switch and the PC and the mobile versions. Obviously,
but not the PlayStation.
But not the PlayStation. And because PlayStation's number one and on top, they feel like they're fine. Their excuse was they can't control the community that would interact with their users that are outside of the PlayStation.
Man, the For the Kids argument was hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah, so this is craziness, right? It's really funny. So we have two really popular games, both Rocket League and Minecraft, have gone cross-platform at this point. And it's Sony. Sony is the one that are holding this whole thing back.
Not only cross-platform, including with Nintendo.
Yep.
Nintendo, the closed off. And if Nintendo made the For the Kids argument, I could give it to them, because they actually do care about that. And yeah, that's hilarious. Hilarious.
Sony's a kid who takes their, toys and hoards them and doesn't want to share with anybody.
Yeah.
At this point in the game.
I'm hoping that this will provide enough, of a backlash that people that will change Sony's mind, because of course, how amazing would that be? How many friends do we have on these different systems that we would love to be able to play these games with? And it would be awesome. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that, since it kind of was a part of what we were talking about. Yeah. I'll say the only thing on the Sony presentation that got me excited, and it's just me because this is who I am, was the Spider-Man presentation. God, I wish I want that game so bad, and it's frustrating that I'll never ever get it. But other than that, I didn't see anything that was super interesting at all.
I had one game interest me, and it was Final Fantasy Fishing for VR. Why does that exist? Okay, let's just start with it.
You just want the soundtrack.
Why does it exist? Like, is that actually why? Like, would people just play it to listen to the music?
No, I think it's just because they said we need something VR with Final Fantasy in it. And Square's like, okay.
Final Fantasy Fishing for PSVR. So, and like the other thing too was like, they were showing all this VR stuff that was just like, it was super mediocre. Nothing was impressive. Like they showed
the problem with their platform and their VR is it's such stripped down versions of anything that I can't understand. I mean, I get, I like, I played the Minecraft VR on the Samsung Gear, right? Like I played that one. I like how immersive a VR game is. It is pretty cool. I have to say that. I mean, it's your whole field of view. It's, all around you. It's pretty neat. And a system like the Xbox One X doing it, where the horsepower is there to give you more than just a dumbed down version of the same game you're already playing, that excites me. But what Sony's been offering and showing is just dumbed down versions of this.
And it showed too. I mean, they kept showing these audience shots that were hilarious. It was just all these people like they're showing these audience shots like as if the audience is supposed to be like clapping and cheering and excited. These people are practically falling asleep. They're just sitting there like on their phones, like straight face, no expression. And they did it like 3 or 4 times. It was hilarious. And it was like that with all of the VR stuff that they just kept showing, and it just kept going. And it was like, why are you spending so much time on this? But I don't know. I guess they really want to push it. And there was actually a game that interested me that I'm not joking about with Final Fantasy Fishing, was Detroit, the game with the androids. That the setting was very interesting.
That looked good last year when they showed it. They showed that last year though already, right?
Oh, I didn't watch Sony
there
last
was
year.
a longer trailer of it last year, or a different trailer of it last year. So they again, it does look interesting, but it's still them rehashing something they already showed last year.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
That's to me is like a meh. Right?
It wasn't interesting enough for me to say like I have to play that. It was like this could potentially be something that I would be interested in because I like the setting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, they gave DLC a trailer. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, great game, or from what I've heard, but you know,
I didn't even catch that. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, they did. There was a trailer. It was one of the big things they mentioned was Horizon Zero Dawn is going to get DLC.
Wow.
It's like
I would say Sony like easily the worst. I don't know. Bethesda was pretty bad.
Yeah, there just was not a lot of meat there.
It's bad.
There was not a lot of content that people seemed to care about. I mean, last year with the Final Fantasy VII, and was last year Shenmue 3 as well, I think. They had a lot that people were really excited about, but it just seemed like, this is what we're doing. It's just kind of par for the course at this point.
Here's an update on some stuff we showed you before.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of brand new stuff, and if it wasn't super amazing and awesome. But so they definitely had the lowest kind of awareness. I feel like Microsoft, obviously, with the X, and then we're going to move into Nintendo now. They had things to announce, things people didn't see before or didn't really know about before. So let's talk about Nintendo, because I personally feel very strongly about this, and I think the internet largely agrees with me. Amazing. It was a 25-minute Nintendo Direct. They weren't even at the show. It wasn't like a presentation or anything. It was just the video, which had lots of great and awesome and very exciting things. It convinced me. I mean, I kind of always knew I was going to get a Switch, but it convinced me to get one much sooner than I anticipated. So how do you guys feel about the Nintendo show?
I didn't get to catch the Nintendo show.
Yeah, I mean, I caught follow-up reaction to it and some of the things that were announced. Me personally, I know enough to say from having a Wii and other things, I'm not going to get a Switch because I know I won't play it. But that's not because the games aren't good. Again, it's just because the game time I have is already pretty much 100% allocated.
I totally understand. Yeah.
But I mean, Odyssey sounds pretty cool. The fact that there is a Pokemon game, that's all that they said. Nothing about it, what it's going to look like.
I don't care. I know.
Care. Well, it's good. I mean, the system needed it, though. I mean, you're talking about a system that had very few titles so far that were must-haves, right? So they had to come out swinging and saying, yes, we know. And now that the system that's selling gangbusters is actually going to have some games besides being just a Zelda player, right? So I think they did exactly what they needed to do, and it sounds pretty promising for them. And I think they're definitely going to be a contender in this round of console wars. I mean, the Wii U I don't think was. I think the Switch is for sure.
The Wii U is rough.
It's so funny because I just plugged in my Wii U last week for the first time in over a year. Yeah. So it is amazing. But I just have to comment. The Mario Odyssey trailer is one of the craziest things because it's so weird and bizarre but it's amazing. Like, I'm so excited about that game. I want to throw my hat at taxi cabs and T-Rexes and all of the things and just be all the things.
Is that the one where he's in a world?
Yeah.
Like in a real people world?
There are real people in a city, and it's
jarring.
kind of jarring. It's kind of like how Sonic features real people sometimes, except it without the creepiness.
That's what I was going to say. That sounds like Sonic 06.
Yeah, it's like, because he's not making out with any of them. Or anything like
There's going to be like a Super Mario Brothers prequel game where it's actually the hat has the power. And it's going to possess Mario, and there's going to be like a little alien inside. Actually, it's a Scientology tie-in. His name is Zandu.
Man. Come to think about it, playing lots of Mario games and Mario 64 specifically, maybe Mario's power has always been in his hat, and we've just never known.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you got all the different hats, right? You got like the metal hat,
the invisible hat, the flying hat. Yeah. So that I was super excited about. Obviously, they only mentioned this in passing. It wasn't really talked about that much on the actual presentation. But yes, they are working on an actual console Pokemon, which to me is... Oh, God.
Is that the first time since GameCube?
Well, I wouldn't even
they've had
count
the
that.
fighters, right? Yeah, they had the combat.
No,
ones,
no,
but I don't think
they
had
had
full world.
Pokemon XD on GameCube.
It's still that was still just a stadium, a Pokemon
fighter.
Stadium game. That was not an actual
No,
Pokemon
but you
game. It had a
got to-
Pokemon Adventure, like it had like a single player adventure mode, but it wasn't a straight Pokemon game. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't
They've
know. It's been
confirmed-
so long since I played it. I can't even remember it now.
No, yeah.
I'll go with you on it. I'll take your word for
Yeah.
it.
Trust me. Those are not like actual real Pokemon games. Because you had to it was like where you had to steal other people's Pokemon. It was very simplified.
Oh,
and,
yeah, because they were like the shadow ones or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So they've confirmed that they're actually working on a real Pokemon game for Switch. Please let it be open world. Please let it be open world. Please let it be open world. I would lose my mind. Other than that, the last thing I want to mention, and I know. You know what? Freem's not here. I'm running this, so my Nintendo love.
It's probably good because we all know the storms come in this time of year.
So the final thing that got me ridiculously excited is Metroid Prime 4.
So it's a remake, though. A remaster, even. It's not even a remake, right?
No. The DS game, which was The Return of Samus, is a remake of the Game Boy one, which I think was Metroid 2, Return of Samus. Okay. So there are two separate games being worked on. The Return of Samus for 3DS and Metroid Prime 4, which is a brand new Prime game. Okay. God, and I love these games. These games are Metroid Prime and I don't even know. I guess I would say it's probably between Metroid Prime and Halo 2 for my favorite game of that generation. It's that good, and it's anyways, I'm not going to get into it. This is an Xbox podcast, but I think
E3. We can talk about it. It's okay.
I think Nintendo killed it. I really do. They generated a lot of excitement for the Switch. They announced some other things as well. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, but
I just wanted to say something in general because, I think I've said on the podcast before that I kind of criticized the Switch for having such a lackluster launch. Of course it had Zelda, which is a big deal, but there's basically nothing other than that that's come out since. I mean, this kind of Mario Kart or whatever that we talked about. But then I was kind of thinking, the Nintendo 64 was like that too. I think the Nintendo 64 had two games for 6 months. And
how long do people play Wii Sports?
That's true.
That's still the only game.
Yeah, I know. I never got past that
Wii Sports was super good, though. I love Wii Sports.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, then there was...
I could have played Wii Sports Tennis forever. I could play that game for always. It was so much fun. Oh, really? Yeah. Interesting.
But it's kind of interesting because, it was that same thing where it went for a long time without anything, but then you had all of these super good first-party games that kind of trickled out on a regular basis that made it pretty solid. So, maybe we'll have another N64, but I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I'm not gonna. That's super optimistic for me. So,
well, Nintendo has always been that way. It's just the thing that, when the NES came around, Nintendo it was literally the whole industry was recovering from the 84 arcade crash, and the NES was kind of the only thing in town for a while. And then Sega came out, and then the Super Nintendo came out, and at that point they were at their peak. So they were still only doing their own thing, and then PlayStation came out, which changed everything. And Nintendo's choice to make cartridges changed kind of how their relationship with third parties happened. So the N64 comes out with almost no games. Same thing with GameCube. It was they had burned the bridges at that point, and then Wii came out. It was so different. A lot of I don't have to.
Yeah, there was tons of third. There was so much third party at launch for the Wii too. Because I remember when I got it, I think I had to buy 5 games with it because it was the last pre-order in town.
Yeah, the Toys R Us. Yeah, the Toys R Us deal was that one.
It was Zeller's actually.
Okay.
And it was the last pre-order in town because. So I went to everywhere, and Zeller's was the last place I went to. And they're like, okay, we've got one pre-order left because somebody didn't pay. You had to pay it up front, too. You had to pay front the whole thing, which I planned on doing anyway. And they're like, yeah, this guy didn't pay, so if you have the money, you can have it. And I was like, yep. I'll take it. And then, which was actually good because I ended up getting a few games with it that were good that I wouldn't have probably otherwise played.
The Wii generation of Super Paper Mario was a really good game, actually.
See, I dropped the Wii super quick because the one game that I really, really wanted to play for Wii, because when the Wii was coming out, like, to me, that was a big thing. Like, they're talking like this super cool motion control that looks pretty solid. And then Red Steel came out. Red Steel was that game that was in Nintendo Power, and it was all over the place. And it's like, this is going to be awesome. You've got guns that you can, aim with the Wiimote, and you got sword fighting. You can do all this cool sword fighting. And then it was just like, it was nothing like they made it out to be. Because the sword fighting, there were only like 3 different directions you could go. The aiming wasn't precise enough to actually shoot anything properly. And it just wasn't that great of a game. And it was like, after that and just playing the Wii in general, I went to the 360 and then achievements happened. So, yeah, that's what happened with the Wii. And then, and I know they made a lot of improvements, like the Wii Motion Plus, and when Nintendo,
because they had to, though. I mean,
totally.
It was like I could probably play a lot more of those dance games on the Wii just because all you have to do is shake it.
Yeah,
like there's no accuracy.
Well, you can do that with your
bad camera detection that the Kinect has.
Yeah. You can do it with your smartphone now, though. Same thing, same kind of tracking. Yeah. But yeah, I know the Wii improved dramatically over its life, but it was just kind of the thing where there wasn't enough compelling stuff at the beginning, or there was, but it was all disappointing. And then, because even Zelda, like I got Zelda with it too, and it was playing it with the Wii controller sucked. I never finished it. And
that flat controller, that's before they had the Pro controller too, which they found in 3. I mean, they needed that because I agree. Paper Mario with a little controller was great.
But the Switch can run regular games. It doesn't require special equipment, or it doesn't require. So any third party at this point can jump on the Switch bandwagon. Obviously, it may or may not require, depending on the game, a little bit of limitation in the hardware. But I don't know. I think this could be a turning point for the Switch for Nintendo. I'm hoping, because I want to see Nintendo succeed. I want them to either succeed or to become a software company so I can get achievements on Mario games.
That would be better.
Exactly. Damn, Switch and its console sales.
But they did. Either way you look at it, honestly, I think Nintendo did really, really well, and I'm glad that I'm excited for Nintendo and to see what's going to happen in the future. There was one
for
more.
Me.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
One more thing I wanted to say with Nintendo, and now I've forgotten it.
So go ahead, Smrnov.
I was just going to give my final kind of not quite ABC report card, but for me, Microsoft still won the day because I'm really excited by the X. However, Nintendo was a pretty close second, and Sony was a very distant third.
Yep.
It's kind of how I would rank this E3.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Oh, I remember now. So, and it's how you're saying it's much more open with the Switch too, because I was actually looking into the Switch as a potential platform for big rigs. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but and the nice thing too is you can sign up for the program and export your game to 3DS and Switch. So if it's, a not super intensive game, you can put it on both of those stores pretty easily, and it looks pretty standard. I mean, a little bit more restrictive, but pretty standard with the general kind of indie game publisher platform, or like self-publishing type platform. So, and I think Unity and Unreal will both export to Switch too, so it's not like you have to do a whole bunch of extra development. So that's kind of good, because I know a big issue with N64 was not only the cartridges, which I think was a good decision on their part to stick with the cartridges, but also that it was super, super hard to develop for.
Well, that's why Sony, that's one of the things Xbox had as a saving grace on the 360 gen, right? It's so much easier to write an Xbox game than a PlayStation.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because that gap is closed now too, but yeah.
It was because of these. What was it? Was it Cell? No.
Yeah, I don't know. So IBM made their own processor, whatever it was called. Yeah, I don't. It might have been Cell. Cell sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they made a processor specifically for the PS3 that nothing else used.
Yep.
Oh, that's stupid.
Do you remember right before the generation, there was all these stories about the PS3 is so powerful, like the Iraqi government or whoever it was, like bought a bunch of them to kind of like guide their missiles and stuff like that. Like there were all these kind of crazy stories that went on. Yeah, but we come to find out later that it was actually kind of a nightmare to program for.
See, that was
I think
all,
a large part of
all guerrilla marketing.
Let's just grab. Yeah, well, but they supported Linux originally too. So that's what people were using it for too. Right? So
yeah.
They ripped that up.
Anyways, so that's it, right? No other major.
Not for Nintendo, but just as my kind of closing out on E3. Of course, everyone has a card game now that wants to be an esport. You know, that was a really, really big thing that just over the whole thing is this esports, card games. And the other one was you can play the beta right now for our game as a service game that we're going to charge you $1 zillion for later. That was like, I was going to make a list of those, but there were too many and I didn't want to go through everything. And of course, with another E3, we celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the Lie Engine. So 1 year ago, the Lie Engine was discovered and has been lying ever since. Although it was less noticeable this year and the pipes were not quite as leaky.
So what would you say is, just in closing, is the greatest perpetrator of the Lie Engine at E3 this year?
Ubisoft didn't have a big Lie Engine game like they usually do. At least I could tell. Because usually the Lie Engine giveaway is you have a game that comes out 2 to 3 years from now. It has a cinematic trailer, and you can pre-order it now, but there's no gameplay at all. Like there's like no info, but it's got this big reveal. Like I remember when Ghost Recon Wildlands had that. I was like, that they didn't show anything. And you can pre-order it now, like 3 years in advance. It's stupid. I don't know. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I agree. It was actually
it really wasn't, because I think people were getting sick of the whole thing, like the whole, cinematic trailer, no substance. I mean, the Metro trailer was pretty Lie Engine-y because it was all totally obviously scripted. But it was super obvious that it was really scripted. So, yeah, I don't know.
I think the game will look that good. It's just, it won't, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, not the graphics, but just kind of the whole, like, gameplay where it's like this whole, like, cinematic thing where you're like,
yeah.
But it was kind of trying to look like, it was basically a cinematic trailer. Like, without, cinematic trailer with in-game graphics. So it didn't really show anything of substance, other than it looking really pretty, which it, may or may not actually look like. I don't know. Did the crew really show anything?
So overall letter grade for E3.
D-.
Wow, still that low, even though you just said you were just getting over saying.
I mean, we're talking like multiple Fs for last year, so.
All right.
I mean, that's okay. D- is pretty generous for my E3.
Well, if we're going to do this, Smrnov, what would you?
I would say it was a B for me. I mean,
B. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
That seems. I'm okay with that. That seems good for me as well. I was excited about Scorpio, some of the Nintendo stuff, and a few other things, but I was really disappointed with the lack of like surprises. Nothing came out that we didn't know already existed. Or nothing that mattered, I should say. Yeah. Nothing changed the game. Like, do you remember when they announced backwards compatibility? That was amazing.
I do.
That was mind-blowing.
Deal.
I was there.
Oh, were you there?
That's the one I went to, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They dropped the car from the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah. That's incredible. Like, the original Xbox backwards compatibility is awesome and nice, but it's not mind-blowing or game-changing.
And they really brushed over it, too. Like, they basically just said, we're doing this, and that's in, like, 30 seconds. And then it was,
We're doing this. You'll get Crimson Skies for sure. We'll see what else happens.
Yeah. And Fusion Frenzy. Come on. Fusion Frenzy.
I was going to say the second game.
That is like, that game came with my Xbox, and it was terrible. I hated that game so much. Like, it's on the Crackdown level.
Oh, stop. One other thing that I wanted to mention that I'm so excited about is the return of the Duke.
Oh yeah.
That's
The
kinda
back,
cool.
and it's got an LED in the middle, right, where it actually shows
Yeah.
the screen for the old
Yes.
Xbox sort of thing. Yeah.
That is
What,
the
it
coolest
does?
thing
It's got an
ever.
LED
Yeah.
in
Yes.
it?
Yeah, in the middle, the big circle in the
that's
middle is actually
awesome.
an LED.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It shows the boot up animation from the original Xbox.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I am so excited.
I mean, it's gonna be
I will buy it
totally
and never
useless.
use it. No, I will never ever use it, but I will buy it, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I do like that. But I don't know. I guess like what you're saying too about everything being just stuff we already know. That's probably why the lie engine wasn't so visible. Is just there's nothing to lie about because everyone already knows it's there. Everyone already knows what it is.
Yeah.
Like, there's just there's no lies because nothing is really exciting. I mean, yeah, we of course all this stuff is exciting, but it's not exciting because we already knew about it a year ago. So.
Truth.
Other than Wolfenstein, I didn't see coming. So, I mean, obviously we knew it was going to happen at some point, and I will give them too that they did an awesome collector's edition at the right price. It's got kind of it's not a statue. I mean, it's kind of statuey, but it's like an action figure in like a 60s style box, obviously like, Nazi propaganda themed. With a steelbook and the game, $100.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. That is the type of collector's edition that I like at the price point that it should be at. I give them big thumbs up for that. I may even get it, depending on how much money I have at the time. But I was pretty happy about that.
Well, all right, great. That was our E3 talk. It'll be interesting to see how a lot of these things pan out, but that's kind of where we sit right now, and I'm excited for the future.
Always a good time to be a gamer.
It is. In fact, it is.
Three horse race is a better race.
All right, guys. Well, we talked a ton about E3. That was obviously going to be the meat of our show this week. Really exciting stuff. Maybe some not so really exciting stuff, but life goes on, so we should move on to some normal stuff. Before we get into some of our feedback, I wanted to ask you guys what your win of the week was, and Smrnov, I think you should start off.
All right. So I'll tie my win of the week to what I've been playing this week, simply because this is one of the few occasions where I've actually played a game in launch week, and it's the Stellar Cars 3.
Ooh,
on Xbox
Stellar.
360 and
Nice.
Xbox One. GameStop had a game guarantee on the game that I was able to take advantage of. So basically, I finished the 360 version, traded it in towards the One version, and then the trade-in value on the One version is such that I should be able to play both games for about $30, which is a pretty good price point for me. So I think I could have been first to finish the 360 version because there were only a few of us really in the hunt for that. But at the end of the day, it's such a grind that I decided I'd rather watch TV and spend time with the family that night instead of stay up late and finish a game. So I did not.
Cars 3.
So would you give it 5 stars or 2 thumbs up or what?
It has redeeming game quality. It's solid for controls for a racing game. It has some variety in the gameplay itself, but as far as a simple rating, I don't think it's quite that easy to give. Funny enough, it is by Avalanche, who toy to market game, right? They used to do Disney Infinity.
Oh yeah.
But it's solid. I mean, it's what you'd expect from a tie-in. It's a bit repetitive and grindy towards the end because you have to race every mode on every track, and there's 20 tracks, and you just do the same tracks over and over and over again, and there's no real way to speed it up or skip it. So, but for me, the win of it is that I played it, and that's also what I did this week. So you can save or shave both of those off.
Nice.
My
nice.
list there.
Did you learn any spoilers for the movie?
I have no idea. There's these like ESPN racing type segments going on between the things. I think it just introduces characters. It really gives you nothing about the story itself. So I would say there is no story. There's an open world level, which is really just a small track where you have to do some exploration and stuff. But even that, there's no quests or anything like that. You just have to do certain pickup challenges. It's not even introduced by a character or anything like that. It's all just drive around and get gold, silver, bronze medals on these things. So.
Sounds like a real winner.
That's one I'm going to be grabbing, I think.
Well, the 360 one, there's not many things coming out on 360 anymore.
Yeah.
Was it released physically for the
Yeah.
360?
Yep. That's what I started with.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
I might have to pick that up then, because that's kind of cool. Do we know of anything else in the future that's going to be released?
New Just Dance 2018 will be
yeah.
360. They can, and the original Wii.
What? No
Yeah.
way. You're
Yep.
lying to me. That is amazing. That
Yep.
is awesome. I actually might pick that up on both of those.
Well, the funny thing is, like, Just Dance 2016 is one of the most recent 360 games. Just Dance 2017 is one of the most recent 360 games. And then 2018 is confirmed. So, yeah.
Do we think that that'll be the last?
I don't know if they're still releasing on the Wii. It might have a 2019 in it, but we'll see.
Is there a
It's
Wii U
possible.
version of Just Dance 2018 coming out?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's
Yeah.
fair. I guess they only have so many motion
Camera-enabled
controlled
systems.
Yeah, camera enabled.
Or motion, yeah, exactly.
Wait, did you say a Wii version or a Wii U version?
I was asking if there was a Wii U version as well, because you said there was a Wii version. I assumed that would mean there would be a Wii U version.
Oh, I'm not sure about Wii U, but yeah, original Wii, definitely.
If you're going to take the time to release it on Wii, I would imagine that you would probably do the same on Wii U. But I don't know.
I would assume so, but yeah. I
So,
mean,
Randy, what about-
the list of consoles is huge.
Yeah, I bet. So, Randy, what about you? What is your win of the week?
Well, it's a little bit more than a week ago, but I know it hasn't been totally announced yet. But I got an email that Big Rigs was greenlit.
Yay.
So, yeah. So Big Rigs will be coming to Steam. I didn't do a whole lot of gaming this week, so there wasn't really anything significant there. So I'm going to use Big Rigs. I've been working
That's
on
a
Big
win.
Rigs.
No, that's a big win. I mean,
Yeah,
getting
it's-
game to market is like, good. Oh, yay.
I'll probably sell 2 copies, but that's fine. The fact that it's there is the is the whole point.
Well, the DLC's where it's at anyway, right?
Oh yeah, of course. And the microtransactions.
Have you thought about DLC for Big Rigs yet?
I
Or-
have actually. I don't know how to get it to work with Game Maker, so there might be a GOTYA edition. And
Wait.
that includes the season pass DLC.
GOTYA, as in Game of the Year always?
The
What is
the Gotya edition.
Oh, I get it. God, I can't believe I didn't see that. That was my... Yeah.
That was not my original joke, but one of my friends came up with that today.
That's good.
Yeah, so maybe some stacks. You know, we've discussed releasing it in every possible regional variant with a different achievement list. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes and what we're allowed to do.
I cannot wait to play the the Apple TV Chinese version of Big Rigs. It's going to be great.
I didn't even think of that.
It's harder to get an Apple Store. Well, maybe not.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you could probably get it on there, but nobody's going to ever see it.
Yeah.
I don't know about for Apple TV though. But
Well, congratulations on being greenlit and on officially on the Steam stores.
I don't know
That'll be great.
how that happened. It shouldn't have happened. But
Somebody at
take
Valve just doesn't care.
Clearly.
I guess. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, my win of the week is kind of not as exciting as those two things. I didn't get to play a new game or anything. I finished Star Trek, the terrible, terrible co-op game from 2012 or whatever it was. It took me, so I played it through once with a friend when it first came out. And then Randy and I both played through it twice, but it glitched. So I got to play through it on both of us. So I got to play through it for a fourth time. Now, normally I wouldn't do this. I would just put it on my shelf and just like, okay, I'm never getting these last 3 achievements. But it's Star Trek, so I feel like I have an obligation to care. So I did. I got it done. It's over. I'll never, ever have to play that game again. So super exciting. But those are our win of the weeks. Let's move on to feedback, guys. The Spinal Clerk asks us, what is our all-time favorite achievement list, regardless if we completed it or not? Is there anything, what sticks out in your mind as like the best achievement list ever?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is tough.
I don't know.
I'm tempted to say Rock Band.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It was a great achievement list. It forced you kind of to play the game in all sorts of different ways, and I got it done.
And it wasn't so impossible either. Like it had challenging aspects, but it wasn't so impossible that you had to be like super, super crazy good at everything to complete it. I mean, are you talking like Rock Band 2?
I don't know. I don't know which version of Rock Band, because they're kind of all, well, except
Rock Band 3's achievement list was bad.
Yeah, Rock Band 3's achievement list is bad, and because it requires you to have extra equipment.
It was like a $1,500 completion if you bought everything when it was new.
I don't know. Is it Rock Band 2?
Rock Band 2 had a good one.
I think I would probably give it to Rock Band 2. I completed it, so +1 for that. But it's also, was that the Bladder of Steel? That was the Bladder of Steel achievement as well.
Steel.
Yeah, yep. And which is my proudest achievement still to this day.
And the stories that come out of that.
I had to pee out my bedroom window in order to.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Rock Band 2. A lot of fun. I mean, it's a great game. There's that one hard achievement that's not inconceivable for you to get. You might just have to do something that you're not normally prepared to do. But it's fun. It's a great game. I love it. I'm going with Rock Band 2.
You know, actually, I really like Dead Rising 1's achievement list also. I like the way that they had the 20 pointers for everything. There was quite a bit of variety. I mean, some of it was annoying and difficult, but it's kind of that same balance where it's not so hard that you'll never be able to do it, but hard enough that you have to be committed to, maybe failing a couple of times and, staying awake for 14 hours to play Dead Rising. But I like that achievement list as well. And it was a lot of fun going back to it a second time too with the remaster.
You got anything, Smrnov?
Nothing. I mean, nothing that's a favorite. I just, when I'm playing the game, I can't think, wow, I love this list. It's always more of a what do I have to do? But those are both good choices. I mean, similar to Dead Rising, like I said earlier, the Wolfenstein list, those are decent. Achievement lists too. It's got a bit of everything. There's some, go back and play in a little bit of harder mode to try to get the leaderboards. Some of that type of stuff that's not insane. So yeah,
I agree with you. I like the New Order's achievement list. Yep. The Old Blood is infuriating to me. I was just talking about this. The challenges in that game are the challenge rooms or whatever they're called are brutal, man. I can't. There's one I just cannot. I can't get past. I just can't. I don't know if I'm just terrible or not good enough, but the New Order is perfect. You have to play it enough to kind of really, really, really chew on the meat there, but it's not crazy where it drives you insane or anything like that. I think that's a great example as well.
I guess the other thing too is I love my leaderboard achievements and how insane they are, but they're not a good list. No. As much as I always I'm on the watch and get excited when a new one comes out, they're not good.
Months of time lost.
Yeah.
It seems unreasonable, generally speaking.
I started installing Quake 4 German on some boxes.
Are you gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it. Oh yeah, I'll do it.
Oh man, I've been like fighting with that one because I want to do it so bad, but I just don't want to do that again because the leaderboards are higher than the international version.
See,
now.
I don't have the leaderboard issue. I have the grind.
Then you're set. That's no big deal. Yeah, if it was just that, no question. But doing the leaderboards, because the grind is easy, it's just idling.
Well, if I was writing flags to speed it up. Anyway.
Okay, but I mean, you can. I mean, it takes a while, but you can do other things while you're doing it. But the leaderboards are they're just that's like 250 to 300 hours of just painstaking, super active boosting. Yeah, and it's I don't know.
Doesn't sound fun.
And you gotta get that score just right.
Oh yeah, I know. And then when you mess up, you just wasted half an hour.
Yeah. I know.
The only thing that kept me going in Quake 4 was I'd always try and beat my times.
yeah.
Because I knew what my fastest time was on every map, and I would try and beat it.
Yeah, or try to see how many extra pit drops I could get in or whatever.
Yeah. No, I didn't do that. That was a little too
No, I
much
played
for
with
me,
it.
but-
I would actually try to push the edge, but yeah.
No, it's-
Well, moving on, Crunchflake has a really interesting proposition for us. I'll read it here. I'm going to kind of truncate it, but basically he was saying that he recently completed Breath of the Wild on the Switch and really enjoyed it, but he misses achievements. So he's asking us if we worked at Nintendo, which, oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Would it though?
Well, it would, because listen to his next part of his question. And we were in charge of creating an achievement system. Yes, that would be an amazing job.
Okay.
What would we do? Essentially, what kind of concepts would we go with? How would we change what we know as achievements? Is there any ideas that we have? It's a big, lofty question. I don't know how many specifics I have, but is there anything that jumps right out at you guys? Like, what would you change about the Xbox system? Would you bring over the system wholesale, or would you tweak a few things? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I would be a fan of a universal system in general, but the one thing I think any system should have is the developer has to prove earning the achievement in the final build. And if that means their release dates are pushed off, their release dates are pushed off. But I think you have to prove that you can obtain anything you release in your game without dev versions or, whatever the case may be. You can do in-game purchases to speed it up or something like that, but it has to still be obtainable.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Deter a lot of the stupid achievements too. Like, like that one that came out, I don't know, that was like get a level 100 or something in some new poker game or something that somebody calculated to take like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Like it just, ridiculous over the top stuff like that. I think it would deter a lot of.
Even if you didn't have them, like they weren't required to prove that you could get that achievement, but that in order to stay on the store, they would have to fix any achievement issues. That would be okay with me as well. Basically, once there was an issue,
you're still going to have the developers who just say, "I'd rather fold than to fix it anyway," right? They're already not making money from the game in most of those scenarios.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
or a combination of those two things where. Yeah, you cannot get introduced until everything is proven to be unlockable. But then if something happens later on, if you're super popular, whatever, and you can't do something, whatever, there's some consequence for not being able to unlock those achievements.
Or make it like the game preview program of today, but somebody has to complete it legit before it gets promoted from game preview to real. Something like that. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else? You got anything, Brandon?
I've kind of thought, I've thought about mostly why I don't like Steam achievements, because I should, because I love achievements. I think they're great. And
cheating.
Well, I mean, cheating aside, for me personally, I don't like Steam achievements because they're so not standardized. Like the thing that it really comes down to for me, and that makes the Xbox achievement system the best, and that they just nailed right from the get-go, was that every game had this many points. It had, these limits on how many you had to have, how many you didn't have to have, or how many you could max out at, which was, kind of, people took a little bit to figure that out, because, we had the 5 achievement games at launch, and of course, Condemned that has 970 gamer score, and Lord of the Rings that has 705 or something like that. Yeah. But generally, it was, you had these pretty loose but standard enough parameters that carried across all of your games and then added up to a total score that was kind of a ballpark of how much you play games. And Steam doesn't do that. Like Steam, it's hard to even find the achievements half the time. Like, I don't know, maybe I just suck at navigating Steam, but
there's no point value, right? Like
and they disappear and they can get changed whenever. And like, some games have 900 of them or like 1,500 of them. I mean, now we're kind of getting in that territory with Xbox too, but I think the biggest thing is having some kind of standardization and some kind of overarching value, even if it's arbitrary and meaningless, that goes across everything that's kind of there and like with a profile attached to it. I mean, the Xbox achievement system, I have, like, other than kind of what we just talked about with broken achievements and discontinued achievements that are less of an issue but still can be frustrating, it's pretty much perfect. Like, they really did a great job from the get-go. Trackers are nice to have, though.
Yeah,
mandatory trackers would be great.
I would make trackers mandatory. That's absolutely correct, yeah.
But other than that, it's really good. And trophies are pretty good, too. I mean, I don't like trophies as much as achievements, but it's a pretty good copycat.
I just... The platinum concept to me, I don't know. I mean, I as a person who counts completion, it's nice because, Xbox still doesn't show me that on my one. But, yeah, you can tell your platinums, but... and the level and all that kind of thing, but I still think it's better done on the Xbox.
Oh, I agree.
How does PlayStation handle DLC? You can platinum a game before
without doing the DLC?
Yeah, okay. It's tricky. That's why I think a numerical value is a little more significant, because you can include that sort of content as well.
It's still a ballpark, though, right? I mean, if you look at my Gamerscore, you would think I'd complete. I actually have more things completed than my Gamerscore kind of give you that indication because of the arcade games and phone games, right? But it's still a ballpark, though. 1,704 games. Okay, yeah, my Gamerscore is not that high, but it's not super far off either, right? So
yeah, I think what it comes down to is there's no perfect solution, but I agree that I think, and a big part of why I do what I do is because I think Xbox has nailed it as close as I would be comfortable with. It's gotten to the point now where it's the standardization and how all of the achievements work. I think it's just better on the Xbox than any of the competing systems. So I guess to answer the question, I probably would kind of mimic what the Xbox has done as close as I could.
Well, if I was working at Nintendo, I would just integrate with it.
Yeah.
If we have this kind of power, I mean, by all means.
It would be amazing. And I don't think Microsoft would... I don't know. If Microsoft was willing to go with it, it would be a game changer.
Could you imagine
it would be
a portable console that worked with Nintendo and Microsoft together with Xbox integration, Nintendo portable because the Switch is basically a portable console.
Yeah.
Like a handheld. Get rid of Windows Phone. I mean, not that was really trying to be the Microsoft portable console, but it's the closest thing they've ever done. And with Xbox, that'd be awesome.
It would be cool.
That'd be crazy. But I still want to have my portable 360 that's like the PSP Go.
Well, here's the thing. Think about this, right?
Emulator on the 360 store.
I was just going to say.
On the Switch, yeah.
Yep. If the Switch could play all the backwards compatible 360 games, I think, I would buy 10 of them. I honestly wouldn't. I would actually not buy 10 of them.
And they would be perfect for multi-boxing. They've got a screen built right in.
That's right.
It would. But, okay, that's my answer. I would absolutely, if you could do that, I don't think there's a reason. The Switch is powerful enough, certainly, to play any 360 games. Just imagine that would be incredible.
But that's what
you'd
I'm saying.
You'd have to buy them again digitally and stuff, and everybody would buy them digitally.
Whatever,
yeah,
that would be fine.
But that's what the PSP did too. It was the same thing. It's like they released a smaller PSP that was digital only. So any digital stuff you already had worked, but any discs obviously you couldn't play. But I mean that I'd be totally fine with that. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't even remember where that idea kind of came from, but it was just kind of like an afterthought. And then you got thinking about it, and it's that would be so cool. And especially with backwards compatibility, the emulator's already built. You don't need that much hardware to run it. A handheld 360
with achievements.
Well, yeah, but Pokemon and Mario. It's not. You would get the best of both worlds.
I don't even mean for the Switch. Just
okay.
the handheld 360 concept in general. that, you know, it was kind of just like a Wii U type thing. I mean, even like the Switch, where you have like the 360 controller split in half with a screen in the middle, and you know, or the option to wirelessly.
It'll be the
connect your
new Big
360
Duke one, and
controllers.
the LED is actually going
It's actually just the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they reveal it's actually a portable 360 that plays backwards compatibility games.
It's big enough to carry the hardware. So
Yeah,
It's
Well,
true.
no, it really
It's
it
true.
is though. That's the thing that's funny. Because I mean, think about it. Like you could easily fit that hardware in the size of something like a smartphone.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Because
no,
a
no,
smartphone
no.
could
There's,
run a 360 emulator easy.
the size is not the problem with
Yeah.
this issue, you know. So
Yeah, but and there's so much backwards compatible now that's like, yeah, like there's a viable library there too. So that'd be so cool.
Well, let's hope that Microsoft is as committed to backwards compatibility as they say they are. And just like Minecraft or Rocket League or whatever, like they're willing to spread the love, because that would be awesome. That was a great question, by the way. That led to a lot of good conversation. Fufu Cuddly Poof asks, what is your most proud / valuable achievement that you have earned, and how much money would you value it at if you could sell it?
Ooh,
Yeah.
well,
So we've talked already about Bladder of Steel, but I legitimately earned that, and I suffered for it physically. So I would say that's probably what I value the most. And at 8 hours, I don't know, how much is gaming time worth? Let's say $10 an hour. I would sell it for 80 hours. And then, in which case I would just earn it again.
80 hours or $80?
Or sorry, $80.
Okay.
$10 an hour at 8 hours.
Oh man,
let's
bring up the calculator here.
I would sell it, earn it again, and continue to sell it all the time.
You do Bladder of Steel like once a week for $80.
And by the way, legit, because a lot of people have done that achievement, not legit.
Wait, how do you do it not legit?
Because you can just fan your microphone.
No, you can't.
I thought you could.
Yeah,
No,
you bomb out the
there's no-
songs, right?
There's no beginner. You have to play it. You can do it on easy, but you still have to play.
Oh, well, I played it on expert. So
Yeah, I did too. But
it should be like a Bladder of Steel plus achievement for doing it on
you
expert.
do have to do it on expert.
Nope, it
No, it's not on
says
expert, I don't think. I haven't done that one yet, so I can't really comment.
Bladder of Steel, complete the Endless Atlas 2 without pausing or failing.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, you cannot do that with a fan.
But how much is it worth? Well, okay, actually, I think this question really is aimed at you, Randy, because of how much time you've spent on one particular achievement. So
Well-
let us know how much you think that's worth.
So I just brought up the calculator, so we'll do some calculations. Now, one GRAW achievement, I want to say took me a year. Now, there's lots of idle time. So, I mean, let's value it at 1,000 hours. And I'm going to charge at least $20.
It didn't take me that long.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
because
it's gotten
you did it in the easy time. I had people run up the board. I had 300 cycles. 300 cycles. So let's value it at 1,000 hours, and my gaming time is more expensive. I'm going to say at $20 an hour
Oof, twice as expensive. Wow.
for GRAW. I mean, if somebody was paying me, I don't even know if I'd play GRAW for $20 an hour.
Well, you did it for
Maybe,
free.
Maybe. Well, I did it. I spent my time on it. I guess my time, I don't know. But like more than $10,000.
So value that achievement.
Okay, value that achievement $20,000 for team or solo champion.
Okay, all right.
Because I would never.
I mean, to be fair, you spent
never,
a lot of time on that.
I
yeah.
would never ever do them again. But honestly, though, like if somebody was willing to buy that achievement from me, it would have to be that much. Like it's like if I lost that achievement on my tag and I gave it to someone else, yeah.
Okay, follow-up question. If you were willing to sell it for that money, would you go for it again?
Probably not.
Even if you knew that somebody else would be willing to buy it the next time around?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's a lot of time. What
I
about
don't
you,
know.
Smrnov?
I don't know. If I did that full time, like 8 hours a day,
Right. Well, that's not the
as
case.
like a job, maybe.
I'm going to abstain from this one.
No, nothing that you would sell for any amount of money.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, it's okay. No.
All right. No, that's.
I mean,
totally
you've
fine.
got some pretty good ones on there
I know,
too.
yeah, I know. I just.
No, he doesn't have to.
I just my billable rate. Nobody can afford it. So.
That's a great answer. Actually, you can't afford my rate, so
it's a moot
doesn't
point.
Matter. Okay, so we'll move on now to. So Fufu Cuddly Poof also says that he wanted to comment on what Tarragon said on the show about exclusives not being a big deal. Very shortly after he mentioned that, I had specifically said that I would buy a Switch if Pokemon was on the system, which that was kind of what changed my mind after E3. So this is kind of a perfect timing for this thing. Yeah, I do think exclusives matter. It depends on the exclusive and the person, obviously. Metroid also had a very large impact on me deciding to buy the Switch. So I don't know. It does matter. I don't think it matters for most people, but there are certain people that will definitely buy a system for a certain game.
Yeah, I think it matters to me more from a business model perspective because it keeps the Xbox platform going for other people. It doesn't matter for me personally, but I think that they need to see that commitment out of Microsoft as not just the hardware provider, but making good software for it themselves. That's kind of my take on that.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like I'm at the point where, I mean, all the exclusives that Xbox does have are so tired, at least for me, that I don't like. I mean, I never really cared about Forza, but like Gears of War 4, I have no interest in. Halo, I'm done with. Where it's just like,
well, Gears of War 4 has a card system, so I assumed you would really be interested in
card
that
game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they just don't have any interest in me. But like you said, I may not care about other exclusives that are coming to Xbox One, like State of Decay and Cuphead. But like you said, the whole point is to keep it going. It's to get more people in so Xbox doesn't become irrelevant and, kind of obsolete, like almost what happened to Nintendo, where you kind of are just your own thing and you're not really competing anymore. You're just kind of there. And, you lose the third party support and then you lose the audience, and then it kind of hurts the player base on the console. So for me, that's why exclusives are important. And of course it's cool to have, good franchises on your console too. Because oftentimes exclusives are really, really good games because there's a lot of money poured into them because they have to be good because they have to sell the console.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. Well, guys, let's wrap it up. I mean, we've had a pretty long discussion about E3 and some feedback as well. What are you guys planning on doing for the next week or month or the next, little while in your future? Smrnov, is there a third stack for Cars 3 that you're planning on playing, for example?
I'm sure there is a third stack, but I don't think there's achievements, so I don't care.
It did also come out on PS3.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, my list, I'm almost, other than the game that's right in front of me, I kind of stop and then look at what I'm going to play next. So it's really hard for me to plan out a week in advance. But I will say I've been focused mainly on getting points in games I've already played that I started for whatever reason. I mean, I did some Army of Two today, just because I'd never actually gone back and finished the campaign and mop some stuff up. So generally 360 is what I'm trying to whittle down right now, since the collection isn't growing. It's somewhere where I can make some headway in space as far as,
It's not growing? Have you heard of Just Dance 2018? I'm just curious.
And Randy's just waiting to buy some of my games from me, so I got to finish.
I don't know. I might not do Saints Row German.
German.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I mean, I'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to get 4 of them, but
No, I know.
yeah, we'll see.
No, I'm just, but realistically, the weighting I give games and what I'm going to play in the next bit, there's a variability to it, depending on what's in front of me and my plans for the week. But generally speaking, I think what's going to happen is more 360 work. I'll probably drop in the odd one game just to keep my points targets on goal. But yeah, that's kind of just my overall gameplay strategy.
What about you, Randy?
Well, I'm getting very close to finishing Oblivion. So I might even have that done tonight. I don't know. It depends on how long the last few quests in Shivering Isles are, but I've only got 3 achievements left, and I didn't miss the missable. So I'm all set.
Don't, because you're just gonna sting me in the side.
Dude,
I'm
missing like 4 hours. Just get it
I'm
out
missing
and
one
finish it.
achievement in Shivering Isles, folks. It's the only achievement I've been missing in Oblivion for the past 10 years, and he now has it. So
Just do it. Just do it.
I know.
Nike
I
swoosh.
should.
Just do it.
I really should.
And so yeah, and I want to do some cleanup. I've got probably 6 or 8 games that I'm less than 4 hours off of completing. And I just, I want to get them done. I want to get them off my card. I want to get my card down to as few games as I can. So I think I'm going to probably work through those. But most of what I'm going to be doing now that I have kind of caught up on all the stuff I was doing this week is working on big rigs because I want to get it done now that it can be sold. So I'll probably be spending a lot of time on that and then picking away at the other stuff at the same time. But I also was looking today because I was working on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood multiplayer. I was noticing that I'm almost done with all of my online achievements on my tag. So that's been a goal for, early 2012 was to be done with all the online achievements on my tag. So that's getting up there, and it's kind of exciting.
And that's where a lot of my cleanup is, right? Like I have to clean up games where I got the multiplayer out of the way just to get that done, and now I have to
I've got so many of those in my tag where I just let's just do the multiplayer, and then I've got a 50-hour campaign to finish after 4 hours of multiplayer. But I mean, it's to the point where I can realistically start planning for every multiplayer game. I can start planning a group to get it done. It's kind of to the point where that's a realistic goal, which is kind of awesome because that just makes it manageable, and it's in sight now. So I'm now, of course, Quake 4 is like 300 hours left. Lost Planet 2 is probably 100. Bloodstone's probably 100. But I can get it down to just those 3, then it's not so bad.
Great. Well, that sounds like you've got your work cut out for you, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I am in cleanup mode. I have my next big game ready to go, but I don't really know when I want to do it. So I did the alphabet challenge, got it done. Right now I'm working on the random to-do list stuff, and then working on like my daily kind of random achievements. At some point I'm going to start my new game. I'm really, really anxious to get my 70% completion done so I can finally switch over from not DLC to all DLC for my completion percentage. So I'm very close. I'm at like 60. I'm at like 69.7% at this point. 0.70%, I should say, 70%. So I'm very, very close. I may not start my next game until I get there. But working on random to do stuff, working on getting stuff done. Like I said, I mentioned I finished Star Trek. I finished Saints Row 4, the 3rd version of that stupid game. I finished like a couple of other games as well. I finished Minecraft Windows 10 version. Like I've just been working on kind of cleanup right now before I start my next big game. So I'm excited, and I've got some cool stuff coming up ahead. But that is it for me.
Now, how much do you anticipate your completion percent dropping when you switch that over?
So I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I haven't looked or anything like that. But I would assume 5%. I'd say 5%.
That's not too bad.
It could be way worse or way better. Maybe I'll only get to 68%. Maybe I'll be 59%. I would just assume 10%. I don't know. I mean, it's been like I've played a good chunk of DLC that's come out with really good games that I like. But on the other hand, there's a ton of games I've played and never, ever, ever got into the DLC. So I have no idea. It'll be really interesting to see. Okay, other than that, that's it, guys. We had a really good chat about E3. We talked about some feedback. Smrnov, if people wanted to get a hold of you or were interested in following you, where could they find you?
My Twitter handle is my gamertag, so that's probably where I put the most out there here and there. Other than that, that's about it. True Achievements, Twitter. True Achievements, yeah, that's the way to go. Randy, what about you?
Yep. Same thing. True Achievements and Twitter are generally the best places. My Twitter is at Randy2727. So that's probably the best place.
Same thing for me. So we've had a good chat here, but we'll move on. And you know what? In 6 months, this will be an interesting show to come back on. Just to kind of like, what were we excited about? What were we kind of interested in? But until then...
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Z.
This week for Review Z, I guess we are back to the main show now. So with me today, I have Warren. Hey,
How
Warren.
are you doing?
Hey, so we are actually only reviewing, technically, Goat Simulator, The Waste of Space DLC. Even though I think I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm just going to talk about the game as well as the DLC. But just for the info, so the Goat Simulator Waste of Space is an add-on to the once free... It was Games with Gold, right? Goat Simulator?
You know, I'm not 100% certain. I know we were given it at one point through some sort of promotion.
Yeah, so the Goat Simulator Waste of Space add-on is a $4.99 add-on. The game itself is developed by Double 11 and published by Coffee Stain Studios, or do I have
Other way
it
around.
backwards?
Developed by Coffee by Double 11.
Okay, yeah. So I will say, I've 100%ed the Xbox One version of Goat Simulator. 360, I still have to do all the DLC. My hatred of this game, is all down to that stupid Flappy Goat mini game. Not like, and we'll get into more detail, but all I can say is if you've done Flappy Goat, none of the DLC is nearly as infuriating, but that's not saying a lot.
I wouldn't call it infuriating. I guess my biggest issue is that it feels like they had a bunch of ideas and threw it all into a big open sandbox and said, here. Like there was no cohesive, hey, try this, and hey, try this. It's just, here it is.
Yeah, so I think, not to beat a horse or a goat, but the original Goat Simulator game, as I understand it, they were building kind of like a physics engine for a Tony Hawk type game, paid a lot of money for that goat skin, and so they just slapped a game together. Now, the game wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible, and it was very tongue-in-cheek, right? It was very much a, wow, we've made a bad game. What does everybody think? Oh yeah, this game is awful. You know, it was a parody game, and it didn't take itself seriously. Like you almost can't knock it for the things that it's bad at, because they know that.
The original Goat Sim, correct. I completely agree. But then they put DLC to it, which kind of started disenfranchising me with the whole we did this for fun and turned into we did this for money.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think
Well, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, obviously, they're a game dev. They want money for it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like, it takes the quality. Normally, something that has DLC is got a decent amount of quality to the game, or at least it feels like there's a little more effort. This, as you say, was just kind of a physics simulation run awry.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at things that, like the Payday, or even was it More Goats, which had the zombie goats, the More Goats. I mean,
More Goats, yeah.
Yeah, the DLCs weren't. I mean, for the price and given the standalone game, you're going. It is the DLC is as long as the main game was, which wasn't very long to begin with. So they're not. But you know who I found? I found the target audience, and it's my son and his friends. They think Goat Simulator is amazing.
Really?
It blows their mind. They're 8 and 9.
Like, so we're 30 years too old.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're looking at it kind of with that cynicism and all that, where if you're an 8 or 9-year-old, this game is brilliant, like Roblox. So, I mean, in that niche, so my son has played all of the DLCs on tablet form. And again, if I was playing this on a tablet and doing it, I think I might be more forgiving. I think it's part of that just coming to console. And you're going, this is it. I mean, I didn't think I liked... So, the waste of space, it's now your, pun on waste of... Yeah.
On space, more... Yeah, because find is all spacey.
But you go... Yeah, it's all space, and you have to go earn money, do the thing. I mean, it was good enough, and it was a completely different world. They kind of just built it off. Here's your quest that you have to do. Go find the goats. Go do these things. You're in space, so there's some Star Trek's reference. There's some... Was there Doctor Who? Yeah, there's Data. There was a Data-like reference in there, right?
Yes.
I thought there was. Yeah. There's Star Wars references. So, I mean, you all of the references are there, and I think you could bang through it in about 2 hours.
Maybe. The problem with
if you're using a guide.
I was using a guide, and I was having a hard time getting through it because of just how much... There's 2 achievements that are really simple. Grabbing the Photon Sword and the Pod Runner. Beyond those 2, they're all collectible based or things you need to do many times. And that's where the frustration starts to sit in. Because for some reason, this game kept dropping me through the geometry. I don't know why this DLC hated me so much. But I'd go and select something, and the next thing I know, I've fallen into the hill and need to restart the entire game, and therefore the whole process all over again.
Yeah, that was More Goats Edition for me. I mean, the game was glitchy in terms of the play dynamics. Achievements worked, but the game itself is glitchy. Yeah, as I said, if you were like me, I had played both of them before, and being a completionist, I just wanted the completion on my tag, but the amount of money that you start throwing at all of the additional DLCs, while it's not bad, it just adds up. I mean, if you add them all up together, this is a $30, $40 title now.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know. Doesn't strike me as a $30, $40 title. I mean, but as like standalone, hey, here's a $5 add-on, and it's going to kill, a few hours of your time. And if you're 10, this might be the greatest purchase of your year.
Man, to be able to be that enthralled with Goat Simulator again, I'm obviously missing out.
It's... Then that's probably part of the bad parenting, too, on what games we are allowing him to play. You're like, oh, you can't play this, that, and the other thing. But, he's playing Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, so he gets some quality gaming in. But, yeah, this one is just... Yeah, if you started the game when it was free and you just need to do the DLC, it's not bad. If you got a kid that loves Goat Simulator... and you're confused by it, you just continue to be confused. But if you haven't started this game, And unless you really want to see it for, I guess, again, that parody or joke that it was, I'm just, It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was just kind of there, in my opinion.
No, I'd have to agree with you. It is definitely an expansion to the original game. There's definitely stuff to do, and if you have it in you to keep plodding through it, like you've said, if you've gotten Flappy Goat done, you might as well just do it. It's not really that bad if you can put up with the buzz crashes and the geometry falling and whatnot. Overall, yes, it is fun if you can just kind of take it for what it is, because that's I think in essence what the game is supposed to be. It's just a fun little, hey, we did this, let's mess around, kind of like the Octodad game.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I was going to rank the DLCs, though, I think, from my opinion, Payday would be the better. Then, I think the MMO. The MMO was my second favorite. Then the zombies, and then probably Wasted. Even between zombies and the space one were probably my least favorite of the DLCs, just because I think that the MMO one was hysterical and actually pretty well done, and Payday too, just because it was so different.
Well, Payday I thought was actually kind of amazing because, like, hey, there's 4 different animals you get to play with, and there was different functionality between them. So yeah, Payday I think was actually probably one of the best DLCs they came out with, which made me. It actually was able to like get me past the I'm a goat that can't walk for crap. Yeah.
Now I'm a flamingo or an ostrich.
Exactly.
Or a wheelchair. Yeah.
Oh man, that one I lost it when I popped the top out of that little pool he was in, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's if you're not familiar with Goat Simulator, ask around. I'd be surprised if you haven't, but yeah, it's the DLC. It's more of the same from the main game. If you like the main game, you'll like these DLCs. If you couldn't stand the main game, this isn't going to change your mind.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
All right. Well, thanks, Warren, and I guess till next week, guys.
Peace.
All right, before we get done with the show for this week, I want to quick do a zombie news item. I found this through PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds Twitter profile. They had announced a tweet saying, "Hey, there's no date yet, but the popular PUBG mod that introduces zombies is coming in." Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. Again, I don't play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but I love watching it. And now if I get to enjoy people who have to, like, not only are they sneaking around, but now they have to be extra vigilant of all the undead critters. And according to, like, the little, what is it called, teaser trailer thing that they have here, they're the fast zombies too. They're jumping off of buildings, biting people in the face. All sorts of zombie goodness that's going to happen here. So, whether this, I have to assume that this still maintains that, diminishing circle that you have to stay within. But I wonder if that, draws the zombies in, or if they just happen to be milling about doing their own thing. What's the AI that drives the zombies here? And are they the threat versus the circle, or is it both? Anyway, stay tuned for more information on that. I'm sure it will be tons of fun. And if you haven't checked that game out via stream, like Mixer or Twitch or whatever, you totally should. They're super fun to watch. Find a streamer who's active. I'm not a big camper guy, so I know that's part of the game. I get it, but I like people who are moving around doing stuff, and that's the ultimate point of the big red circle of death is get people moving around and searching and stuff. So anyway, you owe it to yourself. It should be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for our show, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. I hope it was informative and insightful. We'll get you back next week. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing from our community, so do not be shy. Remember, you can catch us Twitter at ZZZEDTOZED, or our email address, contact@ZZ.com. There are really so many ways to get in contact with us. Don't be shy. And, of course, if you happen to be listening to this on, through iTunes or Google Play or wherever, leaving us a review, rating us, the show, if you enjoyed it, it just helps us out so immensely. So thank you in advance for anyone who does that. So I think that's about it. So on behalf of myself, Brandon, Randy, Proulx, and Smrnov, and to all you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode. We also have got the community roundup toward the end of the month of June. It happens to be the solstice when I'm recording this, so you've only got about a week or so left as of this release. So make sure you finish up your June lists. Next week's show, we'll be sure to talk about all the awesome things that are coming up for July. Let's start with the GTASC, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge. Eliminations from the team side of it. Well, there's 57 teams left. And of the 4 teams that were eliminated, nobody from the show or nobody from the community was eliminated. Congratulations. And really, from a near-miss standpoint, there was nobody. Nobody was even that close. And so what we're introducing as well this week, as mentioned through, I think Chin Doctor mentioned it, was a great suggestion, was the Smooth Sailing Award, the team that we're tracking that had the highest finish, and it was 5th place for the Can't Quit Our Day Jobs team of Fug, Tropan, Geek Squad, Fresh, and Mr. Costy. So congratulations to you guys. Excellent work. As far as the individuals go, we are down to 175 individuals. The Smooth Sailing Award goes to B. Smiddle, scoring himself 9th place. Congrats on that. That is quite high. Our near misses, the most in jeopardy at period 23 here, was Toadstyle Venom. He was 8 spots above the elimination and 227 TA. He did, in fact, use 2,000 TA worth of bonuses, and that kept him alive. Cannot say the same about Mr. CS Geek Squad, who was 4 spots below the elimination mark, lost by 117 points, and so Geek Squad bows out of the contest despite his team pulling in 5th place. So congrats on maintaining your team. Sorry about the individual. Good luck for that. And then, of course, TA, the Alphabet Challenge is wrapping up this week. You have until the 26th, and you have to check its TA server time, so be weary on the 25th if you're going to be working on something late. You do not have the full day of the 25th because the servers check over early if you happen to be in the United States. So be just on your toes for that. Don't try to get that Z in at the last minute. There should be a timer, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask Rich if there isn't one. Certainly will include one for the next iteration of this contest because it seems overwhelmingly positive. So thank you, everybody who's mentioned in the forums and threads about how much they've enjoyed this. It's really great to hear. I'm glad. And yes, we have plenty more of these similar type things down the road. So continue to watch the TA forums about what we have introduced through the TA site. As far as the Z to Z forums, you can also take part in our A to Z challenge. It does last the entire month of June. Very similar. It's identical to the TA one where you have to get the A, then the B, then the C, and so forth. Simply post your TA completion if you have done that. That'll get you 26 entries, easy as pie. But of course, you still have all those extra days. So in our contest, you are free to continue the cycling. So when you unlock that Z, go back to A and start the whole process over again. Every single achievement you earn will get you an entry into the prize draw, so you have a chance at a random prize. So good luck with that. Continue unlocking it in order. Those achievements, however, have to be linked individually. We don't have any, fancy algorithms or server things or anything to track those. So simply post your A, then your B, then your C, and I should be able to just follow right along. And of course, make sure they're online, please. The random to-do lists well underway. I'm doing quite well myself, or at least, maybe not quite well, but I'm certainly happy with my progress. I've got plenty more on the horizon that I'm planning out here. I've coincided nicely with my A to Z, so we'll see how all that coalesces before the end. And of course, I'm staying on top of the Z to Z gamer tag challenge of Giant Hunger. And so hopefully all of that should be completed by myself, and I hope you guys do that as well. Now remember, as far as the gamertag challenge go, you simply have to put into the forums that you've completed it. And Mr. Tarragon, ZZ Urban Spaceman, who wrote an amazing script, will just run it for you and tell you if you qualify or not. So, of course, a completed tag gets you 10 entries into our random draw, unless you need substitutions, with which it will drop down to a single entry, or if it happens to be one of the weird letters, but I don't think that gamertag has none of those. But if it is a weird letter, maybe for future ones, then you get 5 entries. So it's always worth a shot, right? Chip in a chair. So finally, we've got the Mocos June Challenge. This happens to be E3, where you need to unlock individual achievements that happen to have exactly 3 of the letter E in them. One of my favorite examples is the word determined. That has 3 E's in it, and is a simple. Actually, there's many determined as achievement titles. So there's plenty out there. So take a look for any achievement title that has exactly 3, not 2, not 4, or more. 3, exactly 3. Couldn't be simpler. And simply just link that into the forums, and M. Surin will take care of the rest. If you haven't been over to my Discord channel, you can come and find us. Plenty of boosting groups, LFG groups, a fun, awesome community where, we just like to hang out. Again, this is my personal site. I've got my regular boosting nights of Diablo on Tuesdays, Titanfall on Thursdays, and Zombie Army Trilogy on Sundays. That Titanfall session, guys, is wrapping up relatively soon. Well, depends how serious I get. I just finished all the hardware, and that's actually going to be my win of the week. So if you guys care, my win of the week is all the hardware. Nailed it. And I stayed up late to do it, too. And I went to Gen 7. So really, at this point, I'm homestretch time. It's just getting through Gen 7. Gen 8, of course, is wins, but man, you can Last Titan Standing boost those pretty easily. I think we're all trying to finish this together. So, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Well, hitting 10. We're not going to go through 10, and then we're done with Titanfall. And so, hey, who knows what's next? We'll have to find some sort of Thursday night fun community boosting game. There's been plenty of suggestions, and I'm sure when we really get close to it, we'll open it up. So if you are interested in anything, make your voice heard on our forums, on my personal forums, discord.me/Freemhole. That's FREAMWHOLE. And of course, you can catch me on Twitter at Freemhole, FREAMWHOLE, or TrueAchievements.com, the forums. Really, you can find me anywhere. That is my gamer tag. That is my persona across the world. And I'm happy, would so appreciate hearing from you. So with that, I think that's going to wrap up the community roundup. Really looking forward to what we have coming up in July and some announcements for the near future. So keep your ears tuned to the Z to Z podcast. We're so happy to have you as a listener, and we hope you thoroughly enjoy these contests and what we have to offer. So with that, I'm heading out. We'll catch you guys later. See you next week. Bye.